views expressed in this program do not reflect the views of the staff, management, or licensee of this station. This is 91.7 FM, WHUS Stores. I am Peddlin' Ron, and you are listening to Bicycle Talk. Welcome to Bicycle Talk without my friendly co-host, the lovely Dr. Fran Storch. She's feeling a little under the weather today. If you're watching on Facebook Live, please feel free to comment. I will try to comment back, but, I'm live. So that's what we got. This is a Bicycle Show. It's a show where we talk about bicycles, bicycle culture, bicycle advocacy, upcoming news in cycling, the bicycle business, and the bicycle calendar. If you have a comment, you'd like to contribute information to the show, and you're listening right here on Facebook Live, you can comment right down below, or you can just send me an email at bicycletalk1@gmail.com. You can listen to past episodes of Bicycle Talk on WHUS.org, iTunes, Spotify, and now on my Bicycle Talk YouTube channel. Ron's Rant of the Week. Car back and group rides. We don't own the roads. Got that? Got that? Anybody? We had a little incident this weekend. I'll talk about it a little bit later in the show. And, we often complain about cars and trucks and how terrible they are sometimes to us and how that's really not a pleasant experience. And yet, you know what? When we make a less pleasant experience, it makes it a lot harder for us to coexist. So anyway, I will talk about that a little more in the show. I think it's an important subject always. It's not just them, it's us too. So there we are. So let's see, what else do I have here on the Rant of the Week? And the new NHTSA report, the National Highway and Traffic. There's a new report. I'll talk about that a little more in the show too. Positive side, an American in red. Can Sepp Kuss win the Vuelta? Really? Oh my God, you guys watching the Vuelta? The Vuelta's like crazy, amazing, cool. Good stuff going on right now. Jumbo-Visma is just rocking the house. They're after yet another title there, and they got a good chance of doing it. But anyway, because they've got like an amazing arsenal of riders. We'll talk about that a little bit more in the show. Right now, Sepp Kuss from Durango, Colorado, is wearing the red jersey. He's wearing the power jersey, the big one. So that's kind of cool. And we'll talk, again, more about that in the show. So that'll be kind of fun. On another positive side here, I just wanted to bring this up. This is from, I'm Facebook friends on all sorts of different sites and all sorts of different groups and all. And one of the groups is Cycling for Those Aged 70 Plus. And not that I am, but I'm working on it. I'm a couple of years away, so real close. And I ride with a lot of people that are in that age group. So it's kind of a cool thing. And we have a comment here from Kevin Vaughn, which I thought was really good. He says, "Hi, I'm 73, and the last time I rode my bicycle in miles was when I was 12. Rode my bike to school every day and also had a paper route. So since returning to the bike riding a few years ago, my longest ride was 48 kilometers, trying to hit 50 and also trying to push my average speed over 20 kilometers an hour so I could qualify to ride on group rides with a local club. The result of that ride was a sore bottom, feeling pain, and a very sore left knee, which took weeks to recover. He got physical therapy for the knee, had to break from riding, and finally he has seemed to have found a sweet spot and where he gets joy from bike riding and listening to his body and not pushing things where he's actually hurting instead of healing. Yay. Good move, Kevin. Good job. So anyway, we're all different, and we find ourselves here over 70 riding bikes, but coming from very diverse backgrounds. I went on a group ride yesterday that was excellent. A small group of us riding slowly, talking, laughing, stopping for the slowest rider to catch up, and enjoying a break for coffee and cake at a local cafe. I think the benefit of exercise is dose dependent. Love this comment. Not too much, not too little. Don't ride through pain, chasing arbitrary targets at the cost of your health. Aim to maximize your life in years, not in miles. Right on. And later on in the show, if as time permits, we're going to also positive side Minneapolis. Yeah, Minneapolis. Interesting place. Anyway, Mechanical Minute, cycling tips. Looking for the creek. Still there. Yeah, it's still there. Although my friend Chris Page, who's often a listener to Bicycle Talk and contributor of comments, he said that he came up to me on the group ride on Saturday that we did, and he said, hey, it was the seat post. And he had a creek too, and he found it in the seat post. Yes, the mystery of the, God, it sounds like it's come from the bottom bracket and it's not there, carbon fiber creek. So anyway, I'm still looking, and I'm kind of running out of places to look. So there's, my comment here is, anyone spare me a quarter? Yep, the quarter test. What's the quarter test? It's about assessing damage on a carbon frame. It's called the tap test. The idea is to get behind its sound, no pun intended. Tapping a good carbon tube will yield a certain sound. If it's cracked, it'll be a dead sound. Short of an x-ray, it seems like a pretty good test. So, yeah, maybe there. I don't know. Don't know yet. Have to check. I'll always check back with you and let you know as soon as I find this thing. It's going to be a major aha moment, and it would be really, really nice to find, because otherwise the bike is going up on the hook and the steel bike's coming back out. That's all there is to it. Anyway, steel bikes are quiet, by the way. If anyone has had a steel bike over the years or is still riding on a steel bike, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway. So let's move on here. So the comment comes from a Facebook post that came out on our, here, it was on our page here for the Thread City Cyclers, I think. And someone had, and now there goes my post. And someone had commented, that they were driving the car towards our North Windham school site where we lead, we have a lot of rides that go out of there. We didn't go out of there this week. We did a little shorter ride. We all converged upon the same place, but we started up at E.O. Smith High School up in Storrs, up by the University of Connecticut. But anyway, these folks say they had an interesting experience. They were driving their bikes on a car rack to start a ride from North Windham School. It was about 1:10 p.m. And they would turn right off of Route 6 and onto 203, found ourselves behind a car that was behind the tail end of a club ride that was ending at North Windham School. The car in front swung wide to pass because the riders were not going single file. Thus, we were directly behind the group. One rider, male, a blue jersey, red and white helmet, don't know who you are, on a white bike, he thinks, refused to go single file. He was at the back chatting with another rider after waiting for what seemed like a very long time. A black F-150 pickup truck behind these folks had had enough. He swung out wide, passing both this car and also the group with a roar. He was not happy. The rider never moved over. I was not happy. Simple lack of road manners just reinforced the idea that cyclists are a bunch of jerks. Who hog the road and don't care about anybody else. One more enemy of cyclists just created. I don't appreciate that. Whoever the cyclist was, you need to change your behavior. So I had to comment on that because I'm with him. I'm all about this. I'll say it again. I know you've heard it before from me. Bad behavior on a bicycle is a reflection of not just you, but all of us as cyclists. All right. Keeping the communication going in a group ride and getting over when someone announces car back tells the story of who we are and when we ride together. I know I can be accused of being very opinionated, very opinionated, when riding my bike is concerned, but no one in my group will do that without hearing about it from the Wrath of Ron. Okay? Hence, no one does that when they ride with me. Interesting, huh? Yeah. Well, it's kind of like parenting. It's kind of an interesting thing. We do not own the road. We share it. I am saddened by the comments like this because when I read them, this is not who I want us to be. Pay attention, use a mirror or rear radar, And most of all, communicate and ride no more than 2 abreast. Your bad behavior dictates my ability to feel safe when I'm riding either with a group or on my own out on the road. Clean up your act and ride like everyone else's life depends on how you ride and behave. My comment. That's it. I've said it. Done. You know, what does it do? It sparks me into talking a little bit more about this subject because I can't let it go. I can't let it go. As everyone knows on this show, if you watch the show, I do complain a lot about bad driving behaviors of motorized vehicles and all sorts of other wonderful things, which I will get to later on, of course. Sorry, Billy. But anyway, I will get there. So there's a site here, and this one is CTS. It's a coaching site. Anyway, 14 cycling group ride etiquette tips to avoid being that rider. I've got this one. I've also got one from USA Cycling, the bicycle racing folks too, and they're both. It's all really, really good advice, is what it is. First of all, you point out hazards. We tend to point to them or just kind of wave our hand over them when we're going along if there's debris or sand or something like that. And then also make sure if there is debris or something like that, just make the move gradually out and gradually back in. No quick reactions as to try to avoid you getting a flat tire or something like that. You want to just make sure that you let everybody know that if you're in a tight pack like that, you want to make sure that they have plenty of time to react and to not have to really jump on the brakes. Here's the second one on the list. Stay off the brakes. Absolutely. Yeah, if you're riding on the brakes all the time, you are not really indicating really well to the person behind you what's going on. So you want to try to use them as little as possible. And anyway, pull longer, not harder. If you're feeling like Superwoman or Superman and you're the fast rider of a group, don't ramp up the speed when you go to the front. It's not nice, and it makes the pace uncomfortable and hard for your friends behind you. Instead, ride the group's pace and stay at the front, maybe a little longer if you need to. But I'm more of a everybody stays at the front of the pack at the same amount of time, and you just pull through. And then, if the ride's too slow for you and it's not working out, then, pick a different ride. Find something else. Anyway, pace the climbs for the middle of the group. When the pack hits the rolling hills, it can be hard to keep the group together, especially when that guy drills it on the front. Yeah, so, jamming on the hills and showing everybody that you got it going on, or my favorite comment, this is one of my favorite comments, is, I just can't go up the hill slow. I just can't do that. Well, why not? Why not? Learn how to do that. Learn how to ride at more of a mid pace than a jam it to the top pace, so that you don't, end up blowing the group up. Simple. Learn how to blow your nose. That's self-explanatory. I'm not going to get into that. Yeah, my favorite place to do that is not on the front of the pack, but in the back. Go to the back, do your thing, spit, blow your nose, whatever you have to do. But don't do it when you've got people behind you. Don't be stupid. Shift as you stand up. So if you're going to stand up and get out of the saddle, you probably want to shift it up into the next bigger gear, because if you don't, then your bike's going to get thrown all over the place, and you really don't want to kick back your bike. And the best way to do that is when you do stand up, you stand up off the saddle and then come forward on the bike. So that will keep your bike in check. It won't move backwards into the rider behind you. So that's a good thing. Don't pull so hard you drop yourself. It's kind of a funny one. Social groups tend to wait for dropped riders, which is great. However, try not to make them wait for you because you were riding like an idiot. If you take monster pulls at the front and then get dropped, you're not making any friends. Learn to gauge your efforts and keep something in the tank to make sure you can latch onto the back of the group and stay on a wheel. I tell people this all the time. If you're on a group ride and let's say you're in a pace line of some sort and you're going down the road and it's your turn to take the pull in the front and you don't have it to take the pull in the front, don't feel like you are socially pressured to do that. Instead, just pull through. That's all. Just pull through. If anyone questions you on it, just look over at them and go, look, I'm just not feeling it today. So I'm just going to roll through. I'll keep the line moving, but I'm just going to roll through. Simple. It's, it's kind of common sense if you were taught this. And I was very, very fortunate. And I was taught all about this way back in the 70s when I first started riding with groups and with people who were very, very experienced. I got in with a couple of Cat 2 cyclists and they taught me everything they knew, and it's just a really wonderful thing. It really works. So anyway, you learn, and then after you learn, what do? You pass it on. Pass it forward, pass it down, whatever you want to call it, but just take what you have learned and share it with everyone you know, and then we all get better for it. It's great. It's a great thing. Show up late and unprepared. Don't do that. Don't do that. Show up on time. Show up a little early if you could. If you want to have a little social happy hour before you start, as far as just chatting, then that's a great thing. But try not to show up late. I'm a chronic right on the edge of the time limit guy. I really, really try not to do that, but I haven't been overly successful. So I may be that show up late guy. I generally show up on time, but anyway, that's what it is. Don't half wheel your friends. Anybody who's ridden on a group ride knows what a half wheel is. That's the person that pulls up alongside of you and then pulls forward enough so that their handlebars are in front of your handlebars. It's dangerous, it's stupid, and it's rude. That's it. Sprint away from stops. So when the light turns green, gradually build up speed to where you're supposed to be. Don't be the rider who does that. Standing start, sprint in at every traffic light. Yeah, okay. It's not a drag race, okay? Don't run stop signs and red lights. That's obvious. I'm not going to get into that. Get the whole group in trouble or in danger. Yeah, don't do something stupid that's going to attract all the attention to the rest of the group and then get you all plowed into by a large vehicle. Don't do that. Anyway, this was all put together by our friend Chris Carmichael, who is the CTS founder and chief endurance officer. So there's a guy that's been on a bike for a long time. He knows how it works. So do the folks over at USA Cycling, and they also have some comments here too. 9 best practices for group rides. Be on time and prepared. We saw that already. Beautiful. Here's a good one. Introduce yourself. We do this sometimes. We used to do it more than we do now. Probably because we all kind of know each other, but occasionally you get a new person out there that needs to know who you are. And maybe, if you could even lend a little bit of your experience to the group too. Hey, I'm new at this. I'm not really sure what I'm doing. Can you guys help me out? Simple. Take your ego, park it back at your house or in your car or wherever it goes, where it does not belong on the ride, and suck it up and ask people for help. It's okay. That's what we do as cyclists. We help each other. It's a good thing. It really is. So it works really well to introduce yourself. Point out turns and road hazards. We heard that in the previous one. You point out, you see a pothole, you see a turn, whatever you got. Get your arms out there. Make yourself as much of a physical communicator as you are a verbal communicator. That's what I like to tell people. And always act in the group's best interest. Of course, when you ride a group, you have to think like a group. If you are near the front when the group approaches a traffic light or a turn, consider the whole group can safely get through the intersection before you commit to stopping or going. One of my common things is if I get to a traffic light and I've gone through and I happen to notice that it's starting to turn, I always wait on the other side of the intersection. And because I've already gotten through, I just want to make sure everybody gets through after me. So we pull over after the intersection, staying off the road, not clogging the intersection. I don't like to clog intersections either. I really like to kind of get across the intersection. So that's a group interest thing. Adjust your time at the front, not the pace of the group. Group rides can move faster and go longer when you than you will on your own, because riders will share the work setting the pace in the front. Maintaining a steady pace is key to cohesive and smooth group ride. If you're feeling super strong, just spend a little more time at the front rather than increasing the pace of the group. There you go. That's that same comment we heard from the earlier comments out there from Chris Carmichael. Good thing. Here's another one we heard from Chris Carmichael. Stay off the brakes. Obviously, you may need to use your brakes occasionally, but try not to ride on the brakes if you can. You know, you really want to keep pedaling all the time. Just kind of keep the pedaling going, keep the pedaling going. Even if it's just soft pedal, you just want to keep the forward motion going. Shifting as you stand up. There it is. Shift up as you stand up. Same thing. Put in a bigger gear so you don't throw your bike back. Don't half wheel your partner. There's another one. These are all pretty common. Don't run stop signs and traffic lights. There it is, last one. That's from USA Cycling. So it sounds like USA Cycling and Chris Carmichael are kind of on the same page. Surprise that would be that way. Of course it is that way. He's a big time USA Cycling guy. So anyway, these are just ways to do it right. And if you see that person out in the middle of the road that's like always out riding in the middle of the road, call them out. Just call them out. That's all. It's not that hard. And, here's the worst thing that happens. Now, you have a rider who's obviously abusing their rights to be on the road and on the group ride because they're not doing things responsibly. The worst case scenario, best case scenario is they go, oh, God, I didn't even realize it. Or as I had one rider tell me, I'm just too afraid to be over by the edge of the road. Well, that's fine. But you know what? Then learn how to ride to the person next to the person who is at the edge of the road, and learn how to ride two abreast. And if you don't know how to do it, ask and have people help you and show you how to do it. And don't half wheel them in the process. Fun. Anyway, but when you start getting 3 and 4 abreast in the road, which I'm gonna comment on this, and I may get myself in trouble, but that won't be the first time. I recognized that happening on the ride that we were on Saturday. My little group, which I don't know, what do we have, like 9 people on the ride, I think this week, something like that on my ride, which is very reasonable and very easy to control a ride with that number of people. And I really think that it's easy to control a ride up to 15 riders without too much difficulty. But that's me, that's my experience, that's what I do. There was another group that we all kind of converged upon. Fran does a great job. She coordinates all this stuff, and she figures out where the rides are going to lead from, how they're all going to converge upon the same place at about the same time. She does an incredibly good job at it, and she's the best there is when it comes to coordinating rides and getting everybody to the same place at the same time. So we basically what do they call it? Flash mob, something like that. A poor little coffee shop up in Stafford Springs, and I'm sure they're very happy for it because all of a sudden all these cyclists come in and they got money and they're buying coffee and they're buying treats, and it's kind of fun, and then we went across the street to the nice little park across the street and kind of hung out there and drank our drinks and ate our goodies, and then hopped back on our bikes and went. So anyway, we rolled out first. We were the first ones there, and we ended up rolling out first. So when we rolled out, eventually a larger group came up from behind. It was a larger, faster group, and they went by us and they went down the road, and they were doing pretty good. But I did notice that there were some members of that group, and I'll just leave it at that. I don't know who it was. I'm not going to try to call anyone in particular out, that were not riding two abreast on roads which are, kind of busy. And that's not great behavior. If you are going to be that rider who is going to ride out in the middle of the road and you don't have a way of checking the traffic behind you, figure it out. You know, Garmin makes this incredible radar system. I've talked about it before on the show, and I don't generally endorse products, but this one is it's the best thing I've ever seen and used over the years. And it tells you when there's a car back because your computer flashes. There's an audible sound if you have it set for the audible part. And you know there's a car back there, and I have since the I don't know, development of too many cars on the road and too many big cars on the road, I do ride with a mirror now. So I've got a little tiny mirror, once again, it's a little 45 millimeter mirror that has a double-sized lens on it, so it blows things up a little bit, and items are closer than they appear. Anyway, it really helps me see what's coming up behind me, and it stays in adjustment real well. But we won't get into that right now unless they want to pay me to endorse them, and I'm not going to do that. Anyway, so you know somebody's coming up behind you, then get your butt over. And there is a kind of a rule in a RON ride when you go on a RON ride, and that is you have 5 seconds or less to get yourself in order when someone yells out "car back." And if you don't, you deal with, as I stated earlier, the wrath of Ron. I'm going to have a discussion with you about it. I am going to talk to you about it. I am going to explain the good, the bad, and the ugly of what just happened, and how it is not the fact that I'm concerned as much for their safety as I am for the group's safety. So anyway, that's it. So yeah, just get over. Single file when a car comes up from behind. 2 abreast, I'm good with if you're super tight and comfortable. If you've got a good group that knows what they're doing and doesn't freak out when they get side by side with one another, then 2 abreast is fine. It's even legal in the state of Connecticut here to ride 2 abreast. That is not illegal to do that. But ride tight, ride smooth, and ride like everyone else's life depends on what you do. Simple. It's real simple. And things just get a lot better. And we don't end up having, angry pickup truck drivers screaming at us when they're going by, or blowing, doing a coal roll, doing diesel smoke in us. And if you ask for that behavior, you will get it. You will get it. Just behave yourselves when you're out riding your bike. We don't own the roads. We merely share them. And yes, we have the right to share the roads. That is correct. But we don't have the right to, block traffic when we're going down the road. And, that's all there is to it. And we are not seen as the mail truck that's going down the road that's blocking traffic because they're delivering mail. We are not seen as the highway truck that's working on the roads and they're going a little bit slower going down the road. We're seen as a bunch of jerks on bicycles. That's what we're seen as. And it's unfortunate, but it is currently the culture, and it's the way people behave and the way that they see us. If they see us as very friendly, and if they see us as taking care of their safety as well as our safety and being responsible, that's the message we want to send out. So that's what you got to look at, that's what you got to do. So anyway, that's enough of that. I ranted a lot on that one, but it's important. On to the important stuff here. There is lots of important stuff, but how about the Vuelta, man? Anybody watch the Vuelta of España? Oh my God, 22% grades, crazy stuff as always. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Oh, I missed that one thing I wanted to talk about. I'm going to go back to this right now. I'll go back to the Vuelta. I promise. I'll be back. I'll be back with the Vuelta. I had mentioned it earlier in the rant. The new NHTSA vehicle data shows popular pickup trucks are the most common vehicles in pedestrian and bicyclist deaths. It's kind of like a DUH, you know, like, duh, really? Like, who wouldn't not have guessed that? Number one on the top of the list, okay, between 2007 and 2021 is the Chevrolet Silverado. Silverado pickup truck. Number two on the list is the F-150, and number three on the list is the Dodge Ram pickup truck. So, yeah, 3 pickup trucks are on the top of the list of what they call light pickup trucks. I have a comment to make about this too, and I'll get to that briefly. The 4th and 5th and 6th on the list are 3 very common sedans: the Accord, the Camry, and the Civic. Yeah, interesting, huh? And then there's the Sierra pickup truck, and then we're back to Corolla and Jeep Grand Cherokees and Altimas, and you know, it generally goes by popularity. The number of vehicles that are out there, or the ones that are purchased, tend to be the ones that are most involved in the situation. So let's talk about light truck here just for a second. I'm sorry, Billy. I'm really sorry. I know Billy's going to look at this and he's going to go, God, he's going off on trucks again. Here he goes. So, they're classified, what qualifies as a light truck? Light duty trucks by the Federal Emission Control Regulations regulatory class, which specifies that trucks with a gross weight rating of less than 8,500 pounds are light duty. Really? What's it? 2,000 pounds in a ton? That's a heavy vehicle. Regardless of their classification, trucks greater than 8,500 pounds are considered heavy duty. All right. So I couldn't resist this because I think light duty truck, and I think back at, you know, Toyotas and Nissans and Mazdas and Ford Rangers, you know, the little trucks, the Chevy, whatever they were, I can't remember. They made a little truck too. And you know what their curb weight was back in 1990? 3,400 pounds. Interesting, huh? You know what the Camry is today? 3,400 pounds. Okay, I rest my case. Moving forward, let's go back to the Vuelta. Okay, we've had some stages, we've had some craziness, we've had some crashes, we've had some rain, we've had some amazing mountaintop attacks. We've had, you know, it's just been good. And then we had stage 6, and we had Sepp Kuss, and hello, Sepp Kuss. So Sepp Kuss is out of Durango, Colorado, the place where if you want to learn how to breathe real thin air, you live in Durango because it's 8,000 feet. It's way the heck up there. And the boy can climb. Boy, can he climb. He's also really kind of a fun-loving guy. I had a nice conversation with my friend Richard earlier this week, or last week. Now it's already this week. And he said he's just a really nice guy. You know, he's really, you know, really like low-key, kind of fun. You know, nice guy. And so, and that reflection was at the end of stage 6 when he had broken away with about 3K to go. He was in a breakaway, and then he broke away from the breakaway with about 3K to go. And he proceeded to show them why he was hired by Jumbo Visma to be the right-hand man of their great gun climbers that are out there. Because this kid can climb. Oh my God, can he climb. He really kind of did a Tadej Pogačar on him. That's what I like to call it, because he just accelerated in a nasty steep section, and that was it. He was away, and he was going to take the stage, and it was very obvious. Obviously, Race Radio said, "Don't worry about, you know, Primoz or anybody in the back or Van Gergo, because, you know, they're too far back. It's your race. Go for it." And he did, and he took the stage. He comes into the finish line. Now, he's got a good chance to take the red jersey on this, okay? So he's coming to the finish line, And what's he doing? He's just smiling, sitting up, slapping high fives with people. And you could tell he was just in his glory. He was absolutely in his glory. He was just living the moment. But if he just put his head down a little bit harder and faster to the finish line, he probably would have taken the red jersey that day instead of the following day, in which case that's where he's at right now. So he's got a pretty good lead. He's got a pretty sizable lead. Will he hold it? No, I don't think so. We got a time trial coming up tomorrow. It looks, there's some predictions on the time trial which make it look like Sepp is going to go back a ways on that one. But he's also going up against some of the best time trialers in the world. So, and you never know. And one more thing that I have to put in here, and this is true with the pink jersey for the Tour of Italy. It's true for the yellow jersey in the Tour de France. When you wear that jersey, power comes to you. Something weird happens. And it's a great responsibility to wear the jersey, but it's also, it has some sort of an empowerment thing. And he might crack out a killer time trial. We don't know. It's not his nature, but we'll see. Anyway, I'm just so happy for him because he's on one of the greatest teams that I've seen in cycling in a number of years. And, there's going to be people chasing him down. Primoz Roglic on his team, great time trialist. Remco Evenepoel on the Quick Step team, he thinks he's going to put 2 minutes on Sepp on Tuesday. 2 minutes, that's what he says. So we shall see exactly what happens there. But I think he's a little bold on the 2 minute thing there. That's a lot of time over not that long of a time trial. But hey, what did we see in the Tour de France? We saw some crazy stuff. We really did. So you just never know. So anyway, we'll just have to wait and see how Sepp makes out. But no, I don't think he can win the Vuelta. I don't think they'll work for him to win the Vuelta because he wasn't really the guy that was supposed to be doing that. And when you sign on to one of these big teams, it's like working for a corporation or any employer out there. Your job is to do this. And we really don't want you doing that because that's not really what we are paying you for. That's not what we hired you to do. So yeah, I don't think he really stands a good chance at winning the Vuelta, but Chris Horner will very quickly remind you that he was the first American to win the Vuelta. Sigh. Anyway, at 41 years of age, still concerned about that. Anyway, so you never know. You never know. Everything may be in his favor. We don't know. We don't know what the weather's going to be like on Tuesday. There was talk of possible rain. I don't know. I mean, the rain has not been good. The rain in Spain does not fall mainly on the plain. It falls everywhere. It's not good. So anyway, we're 9 stages in right now. So we'll see where it goes. Stage 10 will be the big deciding point. I think a lot of changes are going to happen. Time trials tend to do that. Time trials can be, well, that's why they call it the race of truth, because you just really never know what will come out of it. But if you've got the fitness, it'll show up in the time trial. If you've got the ability and the skill, it'll show up in the time trial. And, time trials are not generally very hilly, although there are sometimes uphill time trials. But this one is really flat. So it's going to be fast. It's going to be a 31 mile per hour plus type race. It'll be very, very fast. And right now, I think the lead is 43 seconds right now over Lenny Martinez from Groupama. So, I think that's what it is. So anyway, but the pre-race favorites, Remco Evenepoel, Primoz Roglic, and Jonas Vingegaard, they're all in there, and they're all very, very good time trialists. So, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. He's got it all in his favor because, you know, when you're the fastest guy, when you're wearing that red jersey, you're the last one out. So you kind of know what you got to do when you get out there, and your team really knows where you need to be at strategic time points along the way, so they can kind of help and guide you along the way. So you do have an advantage in that way, that they know where the fastest person went through at said time point, and they know where you are. And if you're down 10 seconds, they can tell you you're down 10 seconds. You need to do something about that. See if you can pick it up a little bit, whatever. You know, and they're also watching their wattage and they're watching their heart rates. I mean, there's just so much science and technology involved in it right now that it's just a way different thing. But anyway, that Yumbo crowd is, I like this team. I like this team a lot. They're very, they just seem very tight with one another. They seem like there's a lot of hugging going on. Oh, how can I not talk about this? I have to talk about this. This is important. So Sepp wins. He wins the race, and he gets the, you know, and he gets the big champagne bottle, and he, you know, they shake it up and they spray everybody with the champagne, and then they usually take a little swig out of it and then hand it back. Not Sepp. No, he put down quarts. That's what he did. He just kept drinking and drinking and drinking. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. I'm sure he was just so excited that it was beside himself. And it was like, you know what? Screw this. I am going to drink out of the bottle. That's what I'm going to do. And it was just funny. It was just really funny. I thought that was an amusing thing. I'm going to talk a little bit about Sepp Kuss here, because there's a lot of people who just don't know these guys when they're, especially if they are, you know, they're the domestique. They're the one who does a lot of the hard work. It is a merciless job. It is, you know, hey, I'm tired. I need you to pull me for a while type job. Hey, I'm thirsty. I need you to go back to the team car, get a bunch of bottles of water, bring them back up and hand them to me kind of job. It is just, you know, without them, they can't do anything. Hey, we got this big climb coming up, and we got this guy and this guy that are our competitors, and your job is to stay with them if they go. Your job is to reel them back in if they go. Your job is to work twice as hard as we can so we can win the race. It's not a pretty job at all. He's an American pro cyclist. He races for Jumbo-Visma. He grew up cross-country skiing, mountain biking, kayaking, and playing ice hockey. He started road racing while studying at the University of Colorado in 2018. Late bloomer, folks. Signed up for what is now Team Jumbo-Visma. Sepp's career highlights include stage wins the Tour de France in 2021, the Vuelta a España in 19 and also in 23, the Criterium de Dauphiné in 20, and the overall GC at the Tour of Utah in 18. This kid he's the real deal. Okay, what is he? Let's see. Let's look at the size of this cyclist. Okay, I always love reading these stats, because the stats are really interesting to me, because it really kind of dictates the reason why they are so good at what they do. Obviously, the man can process oxygen. He lives at 8,000 feet. He's very well adapted to being able to process oxygen. That is a factor involved besides genetics and of course training. But anyway, he now lives in Andorra in Spain, so that's kind of his European home. He's 180 centimeters, or 5'10". Okay, he's 61 kilograms. That's 135 pounds, 134.5 pounds. 5'10", 134. That's a light guy. That strength to weight ratio. This man is muscle and lung. That's what he is. He's a climber. He's done 7 Grand Tours. He speaks Spanish and English. So, you know, you take a look at that, and that really kind of tells you, the machine that is Sepp Kuss. I like his personality. I like his, he's very, very, very smiley, very, very happy to be there. His mother, I read a comment, I think it was from his mother, or Fran told me about a comment, and she said to Sepp, as long as you're really happy doing what you're doing, just keep doing it. And he's real happy doing what he's doing. Good advice, Mom. Good stuff. Good stuff. Be happy. That's real important. Not only is he happy, he's really good at it. So, yay, Sepp Kuss. Had to give you a shout out today. I am a big fan. I am now a very, very big fan. Obviously, you've caught my attention on this one. Pretty cool stuff. Can't believe that you got into cycling in your college years. That's kind of when I got into cycling, and I always found myself to be kind of late at it. When I really started looking at competitive cycling, I was, it was after I returned from, it was a few years later than he did, but I was a few years after, or a year after I returned from a cross-country bicycle tour. And then the next thing I was doing was racing. So that was fun. That was fun, and I learned a lot, and it's a great experience, and on both counts. Very, very cool. Very cool. So anyway, that's Sepp Kuss. That's who he is. And what are they heading into? They're heading into the second week of racing. It's only the only individual time trial. The race is taking place tomorrow. It's in the city of Valladolid, and it's 25 kilometers against the clock. So 25K, going to be a fast race for sure. It's not a super, super long race, but it is going to be a fast race, and it is very, very, very flat. It features a 500-meter long ramp on early, and it's really very early, so that won't really be doing any damage whatsoever. And you look at the map of it, you realize the whole time trial is within the city, all 25 kilometers of it, as the organizers drew up the route, which is in its first third rides around the same spot virtually, but back and forth through the same roads. So that's what it is. And I've been told from the intel that I got that they're fairly wide roads, so the turns should be fairly easy to do. I think it's going to be safe as long as it doesn't rain. So rain, of course, is always a factor. It says here the good weather should be back, a southern breeze, which shouldn't affect the day, but nice, warm, and sunny weather. So looks like the weather has finally cooperated. The day may be taken by Filippo Ganna, who has been saving his legs throughout the mountain stages and could arrive a little fresher to the stage. It's only stage 10. The other person that will be contesting it will be Remco Evenepoel, and he said in this statement this is where he said he thinks he can take 2 minutes off of Sepp Kuss. That's a big chunk of change. We'll see. It's 25K. It's not that long, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's gonna be a battle, but I think that jersey is probably gonna stay in the hands of Jumbo-Visma. We'll see. So what happens after this? Well, that's a good question. What does happen after this? What we've got a couple of, I had put this down here, but now I'm not finding it. So after the time trial, there are 2 flat stages, and then back into the mountains on Friday and Saturday with a 158-kilometer hilly ride on Sunday. But yeah, 2 big mountain stages coming up on Friday and Saturday. So we'll be back to the big battles again up in the mountains. So we'll see what happens. The flat rides are obviously going to be, they're all designed around the sprinters, and we'll also have some exciting sprint stages. And maybe we'll have a couple of sneakaways, as I like to call them, from the Tour de France. They were breakaways, but they were, with the intention that they were probably going to get caught, and they stayed away. And so I call them sneakaways, and that's exactly what happened in the Tour de France this year. And it might happen in the Vuelta. You never know. It's always fun to see the guys that are doing all the work for everyone else have a good day. It's a hard job, like I said. Very, very hard job. So, anyway, moving on. I'm going to go to Minneapolis. Okay, Minneapolis. Okay, this is interesting. How Minneapolis became a top U.S. bike city. Now, let's look at Minneapolis. It's in the Midwest. It has winter as we know it, lots of snow, cold, wind, nasty, ugly. And this place is growing like crazy in cycling. And they're prioritizing bicycling by lowering speed limits, redesigning streets, and implementing an equitable all ages abilities network. And here's how they're doing it. I got this from an article that was written by actually Kieran Herbert for Bicycling Magazine, and it originally appeared on People for Bikes and is republished with permission. For the first time since the City Rankings program launched 7 years, City Ratings program launched several years ago, Minneapolis, Minnesota tops the list of the best U.S. large cities for bicycling with a score of 68. In 2022, the city's score hovered in the 30s to 68. And its leap to number one speaks to the number of notable changes. So what did they do? Okay. They received a massive update. Okay, and while it's not the most exciting reason, it's essential to success. Their scoring system is informed by using data from OpenStreetMap, which is essentially the Wikipedia of street maps, meaning anyone can edit it. In the city's data and OpenStreetMap, it doesn't adequately reflect the breadth or the quality of the city's on-the-ground infrastructure. Then its corresponding city rating score will be lower. Thanks to updates, its OpenStreetMap data, Minneapolis saw its score rise. That being said, the Midwestern city, home to a population of 425,000 people, has also made huge strides building out the safe, connected bicycle infrastructure that demands OpenStreetMap updates and defines the world's best places to ride. What's really unique about Minneapolis that's different than many of the other notable cities for bicycling in North America is that the background of the network is probably one of the best urban trail networks in the country, says Luke Hansen, Senior Transportation Planner for the city. So trails. Did I mention trails? Do I mention trails much on this show? I mention trails a lot on this show. Really good. The Senior Transportation Planner for the city says that Minneapolis' status as one of the top cities for bicycling in combination of strategic multimodal investments includes that kind of urban trail network, as well as deliberate complementary policy guidance over time. Those pieces go hand in hand to create a current bicycle network. Very cool. A key component is their Grand Round Scenic Bikeway, a continuous 51-mile loop of off-street bike trails that traverse the entire city. Wow, I want to go there. I have no plans whatsoever or desires to go to Minneapolis, but now I do because they got a 51-mile loop that loops around the entire city. That's very cool because then you can build off of that. That's how you build your infrastructure. You build it off of a common loop or a common trail that goes directly down the middle of the city, whatever you want to do. That's how you make this all happen. And then you just do spurs off of that or into that or out, about and away from it, all those things. It's kind of cool. So that's what they've got. And they include the Midtown Greenway, the Cedar Lake Trail, the Hiawatha LRT Trail, and the Dinkytown Greenway. which are all repurposed, grade-separated trails that avoid conflicts with motor vehicles and connect some of its most important destinations in the city. All of this has been augmented by a series of initially painted buffered bicycle boulevard facilities throughout the city that provided network-level connectivity. More recently, many of the facilities have been improved by transitioning them from traditional unprotected bike lanes to protected facilities in a variety of different design types, utilizing things like protected intersection design and other tools that they have available to them. So there you go. That's it. You know, if you build it, you can make it safer. I'm not going to say they will come, but they will. They will. Why am I interested in going to Minneapolis? I had no intentions whatsoever ever going to Minneapolis, but now I would go just because I want to experience it. I want to see what it's all about. Very, very cool stuff. Hey, folks, we are completely running out of time. So this looks like it is going to be the end of the show for this week. I am going to go on to my events page after this, and I will tell you about a few things that are coming up. On September 23rd, the Quiet Corner Mountain Bike Group, our local NEMBA group here, will be hosting a fun ride at Pomfret Forest, located in Pomfret, Connecticut. There's information on their Facebook page. You can check that out there. And I hope to see you there. And maybe we'll get an interview with Kevin on that. I'm not really sure what we're going to do there. I've also got another interview coming up with Bike Walk Bolton, and I'll get to that in a moment. So we've also got the bicycle game, which is still ongoing on the history of bicycles in Hartford, 1 Elizabeth Street, Hartford, Connecticut. Check it out before it goes away. It's about to go away, so you might want to tune in on that. I don't have an end date, but I know it was supposed to be sometime in the early fall. Tour Apocum, Sunday, September 17th in Brimfield, Mass. You can check that out on Bike Reg, and that is a Apocum Land Trust, Sunday, September 17th, 2023. September 30th is the Charter Oak Park, Manchester, Connecticut Rotary in Motion, put on by the manchesterrotary.org. You can check that event out. It is a free event, which includes cycling in it. So there's lots of stuff going on there. And then last on my list is Cyclocross, October 15th, Mansfield Hollow, a classic. Yeah, it's up there. It's on the Facebook page. You can link in. It's on Bike Reg. Love to see you there. And I am now starting on Thursdays from 4 until dark, or whenever you want to not do it anymore. Very, very informal gatherings at the park, at the cyclocross area. And we're just going to ride around, and I'll show people how to get on and off their bikes if they need some technical help. Just show people that you'd be amazed where you can go with your gravel grinder bike that does not require a lot of skill, enough skill, but not a lot of skill. And I can show you skill points. So Thursday evenings, 4 o'clock on until the race. So a month and a half now. So please come on by. Don't forget about the bicycle game in the Connecticut Historical Society in Hartford. Group rides. Tell us your story. I want to hear all about it. Tell me your experiences with group rides, or your good, the bad, and the ugly. I want to hear it all, okay? Sepkus, woohoo. Yeah. Good stuff, huh? And I do really love the listener comments. Please keep them coming. Remember, cyclocross is coming soon, Mansfield Hollow especially. I'll say it again, it won't be my last time. Get loud, get active, our time has come. Stop complaining about traffic, dangerous roads, price of gas, the lack of places to safely ride your bike, and join the revolution of change. Hey, take a day, park that car or truck, and ride your bicycle instead. What an interesting concept. Yay. All right, the views expressed in this program do not reflect the views of the staff, management, or licensee of this station. You have been listening to Bicycle Talk without my co-host, Fran Storch. Hope she feels better soon. We talk about bicycles, bicycle culture, bicycle advocacy, the upcoming news in cycling, the bicycle business, and the bicycle calendar. If you've been listening to this on Facebook Live, you can leave comments down here below or on my YouTube page also. You can listen to past episodes of Bicycle Talk on whus.org, iTunes, Spotify, and of course, the YouTube channel, Bicycle Talk. This is Pedal and Ron. Remember, keep the rubber side down and the wind at your back. Get out and ride your bike. It really could save your life. This is 91.7 FM, WHUS Stores, and WHUS.org. Thank you so much for listening. See you next week.